just hit record. Okay, so thanks everybody for coming today for the Northwest Chamber's monthly webinar series. We love being able to have our members present on their expertise. And today we have Doug Butschky of Level 10 Events and Level 10 Business Solutions. What he has in store for us, I'm sure, is plenty of really good stories about networking, as well as tips and tricks on how to hone in our craft. Many of us probably network a lot already, but there's always something that we can learn. Doug has been in the networking arena for decades. He runs very large, successful networking groups. So he's a perfect presenter for today. So Doug, I'm going to hand it over to you and we can get started.
All right. Thank
Oh,
you, Kath.
before I do that, the Q&A is at the very bottom. So if you do have a question, please send it in and then we'll handle that at the end and hopefully you can get your answer. So it's all yours, Doug.
All right, great. Thank you, Kathleen. Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Happy hump day. It's a nasty one out there, but hopefully it will get better, but I think it's going to get worse. I actually have an event tonight, and I already confirmed that we're going to be in the main building so that once we're in there, at least we're in there. Usually we go to a separate area that you have to walk out into the rain multiple times if you're using the bathroom or something like that. So it's changing even our local events to some effect. So I apologize for not being better prepared. I expected to put a little PowerPoint together or just something visual for you. But as fate would have it, when I left the house yesterday at 10 a.m., I never made it back. I had a dental appointment and then I squeezed in something else and I ended up staying the night on the Eastern Shore last night. So I didn't even get back here until this morning and I didn't have time to do it. So we're going to just have to go off of my notes that I've been making for the last couple of weeks. So anyway, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Doug Butschky. I'm with Level 10 Business Solutions. We also have kind of co-branded Level 10 events along the way. I've been running local networking events for quite a while. Started with a company called NRG. Worked with him for a little while back in 2004 and 2005, so 20 years ago. And then I didn't necessarily love how he was running his business, so I just decided this really isn't for me. And then years later, I kind of started work, just was a member of another organization. And then the owner asked me if I would run some of the events. I ended up kind of running a lot of the events and some of the whole company. And then we parted ways. And then I partnered with someone else for a networking company. And she kind of stabbed me in the back. And then so I said, you know what, if I'm doing all this work anyway, might as well be my own company. So I started up Level 10 5 minutes before COVID. So then couldn't even get 10 people in my backyard, much less at a restaurant or anywhere else. So July of 2021 is pretty much when we came out for our first real networking event live, 25 or 26 people, I think, after COVID, post-COVID. So I've been running events like this for a long time, 20, 25 person events, and then we do several large business expos each year as well. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about me just to say, well, why should we listen to this guy's networking tips? Because we don't even know who he is. So there you go. So as many of you already know, you only get a quick first chance to make a first impression, right? A very small window of time. So if you're going to a networking event and you get the opportunity to stand up and do a 10 or 20 or 30-second introduction, then you want to make sure you capture the audience, at least that they know what you do, and hopefully they want to come and talk to you. A lot of people will stand up and say something very generic. They'll say, my name is Joe, I'm with ABC Company, I do blah, blah, blah. And by the end of it, none of you've probably tuned out a little and you might not need to talk to them because they kind of threw up all over you, everything they did. If they did say something engaging and you do want to talk to them, you may have already forgotten their name and the name of the company. So when they finish up, they just move on to the next person. And if there's 20 people in the room, it's going to be hard if you don't know any of them to kind of know who said what by the time it's finished going around. So I highly recommend saying your name and your business at the beginning and at the end of your introduction. So whether it's 10 seconds, 20, 60, whatever it is, put it in the beginning and say it again at the end, because that helps people remember your name. And especially if you said something that piqued their interest, now they will purposely remember your name at the end of it. So that's always a good tip, I believe. And then during your introduction, you want to put something in there that describes what your service can do for a particular business. It might not be them. I hear so many people saying, I can do this for you, or I can do that for you. It's not about the 20 people in the room. That's a hard thing for people to understand. I've been networking for years with some of the same people, and they still come in saying, I can do this for you, or I'll do this for you. It's not about them. It's about all the people that they know that you may never meet. They may not be a good fit for you. So that doesn't mean you don't talk to them anymore. You want to build that relationship so that when we see somebody on Facebook or LinkedIn saying, hey, I need a whatever, I'm in the whatever area, you can say, oh, you need to contact this person because you trust them and you've heard many referrals and, recommendations and feedback from them, references for people that you know, right? So you can say, hey, this person is who you should trust. Go with them. Don't go to Google and call a stranger. So when you're doing your introduction, you want to put in little tags. I help whatever your target market is achieve whatever a desired result would be by providing whatever your solution is to make that all happen. So here's an example for someone that might be a recruiter. I kind of wrote this down a week or so ago, just making it up for a potential recruiter. I help busy CEOs retain top talent by utilizing our employee engagement software, right? That's what we do. If you want to know how we do it, come and talk to me. You might want to just end it right there. My name is whatever, give your little line. My name is whatever, and that's it. You want them to come to you and say, hey, tell me more about how you can do that. If you want to elaborate a little more on it, you can, but you don't want to say so much that they're like, oh yeah, I know what they do now. I don't need to talk to them. The whole idea is to get conversations going to start building relationships. If you end up saying somebody comes over and now you're actually talking to them, you want to try to tell some success stories that you've had with existing clients. There's an old saying, facts tell and stories sell. Tell a story about how you helped a client, and that works out well typically. Some examples of funny things. Those of you that do know me know that I'm trying to have a sense of humor all the time, someone to a fault maybe sometimes. But I've heard funny taglines years and years ago. Like, I don't even know some of these people anymore. I'm not even sure if they still do what they were doing, but they're so funny. And I made a note here to remember to say it, and then I wrote them down somewhere else. So let me just get to another page to remember the categories. Here we go. So a realtor, this one isn't funny, but it's good. So you want to think about hooking them, right? Say something that hooks them in so they remember you the next time they see you. She said her name and the company she's with, and she told her little introduction story. And then she says, let me stake my reputation on your lawn, right? Because every realtor is going to put a sign in your front yard if they're selling your house. So let me stake my reputation on your lawn, ties everything together and makes it very memorable. Solar company, years ago, I heard him say, told his little story, and then he said, let us show you where to put it where the sun does shine. So again, just a little funny way to remember who he is. I'm going to save that one for last. A chiropractor, he was actually a friend of mine in Annapolis. He would say his spiel, and then he would say, so if your health is getting on your nerves, contact whatever the name of his chiropractic company was. Kathleen and I were just talking before everyone came on about sciatic nerve pain. I've had 3 back surgeries in my life. We know what sciatic pain is. So if your health is getting on your nerves, contact us. And the funniest one ever was a company that pumped out septic systems. The big truck and would come around and pump out your septic system. And he'd say, we're number one in the number two business and our competition stinks. So I will never forget that one. That is so funny. And so hopefully you guys are at least smiling on the other end because that's what kind of it comes to. Say something memorable. So I'll give you an example of what I say sometimes when I'm at an event with a bunch of strangers. Like you guys hear me at my own events or maybe at the Northwest Chamber events. But if I'm at an event where nobody knows me, I might say something more like this. Hi, my name is Doug with Level 10 Events. We help busy professionals connect with local prospects while building relationships with like-minded individuals. We do this by holding 10 to 12 networking events each month throughout several counties in Maryland. If you would like to attend an event as my guest, let's trade business cards. Once again, my name is Doug with Level 10 Events. Right? So that was way less than 30 seconds. They understand what I do. They may or may not be somebody that wants to go to networking events, but if I'm talking to them at a networking event, it's like shooting fish in a barrel, right? So they're going to most likely come over, give me the card. Hey, I'd like to come to one of your events, or they'll ask me where they are or something like that. Speaking of business cards, bring them. This may sound ridiculous, but I can't tell you how many people come in nowadays with a QR code or scan this or do that. No, I don't want to do that. That's not just because I'm 60 years old. I want your business card for following up later. I want to look at it and remember, oh, yeah, I met them at that event. And if I scan your QR code and it goes into my phone, and 2 days from now, I don't even remember what your name is. I'm not exactly sure how to find you in my phone. So if I see the card, oh, yes. So if you want to have a digital business card, QR code, have at it. I highly recommend also having a physical business card. In our events, for example, we raffle off door prizes. We can't raffle off your QR code. So, there's many reasons to have business cards, especially if you go to one of these quick, rapid fire morning kind of breakfast events where they go around a table and move to another table and move to another table, meet 30 or 40 people at one event really quickly. You're not going to remember all those people's names in your phone somewhere. So you can have their business cards. Somewhere on one of these pages, it says, bring a pen, always have a pen. And hopefully the kind of pen that can write on a card, even if it's got kind of the glossy finish on both sides. Because after meeting someone, you don't want to write it down in front of them, but when you walk away from them, it would be very smart to kind of jot down a couple of notes. You struck up a conversation because you both love the Orioles. They just had a baby. They met you because somebody referred you from the Northwest Chamber of Commerce. Like make a note on there so that when you're following up with them later, you can hit on that again and they'll say, oh, that's really cool that they remembered that about me and our conversation. And then definitely follow up, right? That's the fortunes in the follow up. So you've got to try to connect with them on LinkedIn, Facebook if it's appropriate, other social media stuff if that's what you do, and then shoot them an email, right? You can text somebody, but if it's a person you just met for the first time, I'd probably send them an email. And if they don't respond at all, maybe send them a text because you could be in their junk mail or their spam folder. But you definitely want to send an email at least. Hey, it was great meeting you at the whatever event. Coming up next week is another event. If you're available, why don't you meet me there, right? So there's another way to say, I'm not trying to sell you my stuff, but I'll invite you somewhere else where we can continue to build on this relationship that we just started when I met you, whenever. So it's all about that. And when you go in to a networking event, don't be that guy, don't be that gal that goes and works the room and wants to get everybody's card just so they can start spamming them and nobody remembers you and nobody knows what you do because you were like, hi, I do this, hi, I do this, hi, I do this. That's the exact opposite you want to do when you're at a networking event. My personal goal is if I'm going into someone else's networking event, I'm assuming I'm going to know some people in there. So I'm going to try to engage with 5 or 10 people that I already know. Maybe I know them really well. Maybe I only know just met them a couple days ago. But I'm going to try to engage with 5 or 10 people that I already know to help build on that relationship, those relationships. Then I'm going to try to meet 5 or 10 new people. So I want to walk out of there with 5 or 10 cards of people that I have not met previously. I don't want 5 or 10 QR codes. I want 5 or 10 business cards when I walk out of there. If I can utilize my 5 or 10 connections that I already know to meet those new people, that's great. So be in the habit of, if you all know other people at events, walk somebody over to the other person and introduce them because they're a good fit. That shows both sides of that you're very networked in the community. You bring a new person that you just met over. They're like, wow, this person really knows a lot of people. It would be great to get to know them better. And the person you bring them to is like, that is awesome. I should be thinking of somebody I can take to meet them. So that is a huge tip that can really help build relationships. Obviously, when you're talking to someone, let's say you do your introduction and somebody walks over and says, hey, I'd like to learn more about what you do. There's another saying, you have 2 ears and one mouth, and you should use them in that proportion. Ask questions, listen to what they say, try to drill down on what it is that's a really good fit for them in their business. And then even if it turns back on you and now you're talking about your business, try to keep it pretty quick and short, and then flip it back to ask something else about them. Or if you say something about your business, say, who handles that with your company? Trying to turn it back around and get them talking. Always listen, because everybody wants to talk about themselves. And what I find sometimes is, let's say there's 25 people at an event. 25 of them might have come in trying to sell something, right? Nobody came in expecting to buy something. So when you realize that dynamic, that we have 25 people trying to sell something and 0 people trying to buy something, what gives there? So I have a lot of people that come as a guest and I didn't sell anything, so I guess networking doesn't work for me. Nobody knows you yet. You are a stranger. You have to get to know people. Even if I'm never a good fit for whatever you offer, I will not refer you to somebody else until I get a good feeling for you. You have to, people do business with who they know, like, and trust, not typically strangers. So you have to build those relationships. It's not about the 20 people in the room. It's about everyone that they know that you may never meet. So be careful if you're trying to sell something to somebody, or you'll recognize if they're trying to sell you, and you might open your mind to say, oh, well, I know somebody that might be a good fit for them. But the whole idea is building relationships. That is what it's all about. It just happened yesterday for me. We have a local member of Level 10, and he's a car detailer. He did a great job on my car twice over the years. I've referred him to other people many times. Everyone comes back and says how great of a job he does. Just yesterday on Facebook, I saw somebody say, hey, who's a good car detailer near Glen Burnie? I immediately put him on there and tagged him, said, you can't go wrong with this guy. I've used him before and referred him to many people. He thanked me. The guy I referred thanked me. Now they're connected. He may or may not get that business, but it's because I know him, like him, trust him, and have experience using his services, that is just like a no-brainer for me to do that. We have many members and some non-members that I can refer instantly like that because they have credibility. So that's what it's about. It's not about, oh, I met a stranger and I'm going to introduce them to my sister, right? You don't want that possible bad dynamic following you. Just yesterday, I was at an event. It was kind of the opposite. They were all talking about targeted emails and doing a certain website and looking up people's emails, and I can't get to the decision maker. I'm just trying to get their email address. No, it's not going to work anyway. Even if you get the right email address, they're not going to respond to you. I told them, well, you know somebody at whatever payroll company, why not talk to them? They probably work with doctor's office and dentist office. Why don't you say, hey, I've got a great program for doctor's office. Do you have any clients? Oh, that's a great idea. Like, think outside of the box. You're not trying to sell to strangers. You're trying to say, how do I get to my ideal client, ideal prospect? How do I get in front of them? It's because, hey, so and so referred me to you, and then they're going to talk to you. You may not sell anything to them, but they're at least going to talk to you. All right, a couple other tips, and it sounds like it's unnecessary to say this, but be early, right? If you get there early, you can meet the people as they're coming in a little at a time. If you come in late and there's 30 people in the room, it's a little overwhelming to try to go meet 30 people. That's when it's real easy to go say hi to the 5 or 10 people you already know, maybe get a drink, maybe loosen up by connecting with your people that you're already familiar with. Then you can go and try to make some new contacts. We also hold some expos, business expos. So if those are the kinds of things that you go to or have an exhibitor table at those, it's another great practice to bring somebody right over to someone else's table. Like if you, let's say the car detailing guy, right? If he has a table set up there and then you're talking to someone and somehow their car comes up, or maybe this is a bad example, but you know people, let's say there's 25 tables and you know people at 5 of them. Well, throughout that couple 100-person event, you might meet someone that would be a great prospect to bring over to introduce to someone at their table. Again, it's taking the selfish hat off and saying it's not about me, it's about us. It's about everybody winning. And in the more I put it out in the universe, then I'm introducing correct prospects to good businesses, then the more that's going to come back to me. So again, with an expo, have a goal when you walk in. How many people do I want to meet? How many exhibitors do I want to possibly do business with in the future? What does that look like? What kind of industry am I looking for? So have a plan when you walk in the door. Maybe have a networking buddy, 2 guys, 2 girls, a guy and a girl, doesn't matter. Have a friend that comes with you to the event. And then you're on one side of the room and they're on the other side of the room. Oh, you should meet so and so and bring them right to you, right? That's your divide and conquer kind of a thing if it's a large event like that. And sometimes it's more comfortable to walk around and meet someone one-on-one with a friend. So you're two-on-one instead of one-on-one. So, a lot of people don't want to walk up and be the first one to talk to a stranger. And it's tricky trying to move in on 2 or 3 people that are already talking because you don't know how private that conversation is. So sometimes you can do that and sometimes you can't. Um, Another important tip, everybody gets busy. Even when you're busy, you need to keep your networking alive because sometime at some point you're going to not be busy and it's really hard to get that wheel going again. And I see Kathleen popping back on here, so we're probably going to open up for questions, but I just a couple more little points. Another member of ours, some of you know Ronald with the moving company. He had a very unfortunate thing happen. He was working with a social media company, and I don't know that anything nefarious happened. It could have just been bad luck, but something went wrong, and he lost his hundreds of 5-star reviews. So on Google, he totally panicked. He thought his business was going to go in the toilet, and he realized very quickly the phone was still ringing because of the referrals of all the people that he had met through networking events. So not only did he do better, he came back to me personally and another company and upped to another level of sponsorship because he understood how that was working and making his phone ring. So networking is definitely a way to build relationships. And again, on Google, you're dealing with strangers. So maybe you can get business, and maybe you can't, but you're building strangers. If you have branded apparel, you should be wearing that at networking events. If you have a name tag, wear that, even if it's like a name tag from the Northwest Chamber of Commerce, wear it at somebody else's event. Still has your name. It's better than the one you write on and falls off and is on the bottom of your shoe. And then try to like clear your mind a little bit before you go to an event, right? Put on some music. Don't get in the parking lot early and make 2 phone calls, one of which could lead to you obsessing over whatever's happening while you're walking around and you're not engaged with it. So I think that's pretty much all the different ideas or tips that I could think of that have come across my world in the last 20 years out there networking. So I'm interested to see if there's any questions out there that we can respond to.
We actually thank you, Doug. That was chock full of great tips that you've learned through the years. We do have a few questions. We only have a few minutes left, so I'd like to get to those. Someone had asked, should I add everyone's email addresses to my email campaign as soon as I meet them?
I would say no. I don't do that unless I'm just inviting them to a free networking event, right? If I'm trying to sell them something, I would not add them to my campaign unless they asked me to do it. I would probably reach out to them and try to do a one-on-one or do a Zoom, one-on-one Zoom with them. I would want them to ask me to put them on that campaign. But I know a lot of people do it, but again, you're just spamming people and pretty soon you just glaze over and just delete 10 emails at a time. So I wouldn't personally do it.
One thing that I've done is before I walk away, I ask them, can I find you and connect with you on LinkedIn? Or could I add you to my newsletter database kind of thing? So that could
Perfect.
be
Yeah.
maybe a
Get their
way around that.
permission.
Yeah.
Perfect.
We have another question. What is your opinion on asking for referrals of those you have built relationships with and know, like, and trust? So how do you ask for referrals for people that already know you?
Hmm. Well, hopefully, if you're formulating your introductions properly, which you should switch up now and then. Don't say the same thing over and over because people will just tune out. Hopefully, that person is going to eventually meet somebody or know someone that's a good fit for you. And if you have someone in mind that you are surprised that you're not getting any referrals from them, that's a perfect time to do a one-on-one. Go for coffee, lunch, happy hour, baseball game, football game, right? That's where relationships are built, not standing up and talking for 20 seconds. And let me go back to the previous question just for a second. If you're using some type of MailChimp or Constant Contact or something like that, a lot of your results are based on how many people are opening and engaging with your emails. So that's kind of, if you're throwing 100 people in there and only 10 of them are interested in getting it, then that's messing up your algorithms with that. So that can end up hurting you by just putting extra email addresses in.
Good point. And lastly, I know it's 10:30, but this was just a comment that at an expo, you should really have a decent giveaway so that you can collect business cards, then you can follow up with people after that. So what's your feeling on that?
I agree. If you have a nice, memorable giveaway, it definitely works. I would go one step further and say, you're talking about like a promotional product
Yeah, at an
giveaway kind of
expo on
thing.
your table. Yeah.
I totally agree. And then also I would have a bucket or a fishbowl and give something else away, right? Give away a $50 Home Depot gift card, Target gift card, give something else away that make people come over and put their card in there. Now they're pretty much giving you permission to follow up with them now. Join our email newsletter and have a chance to win a $50 Home Depot gift card, whatever. Gives a little basket of goodies, give something away that make people give you their card instead of just walking by and talking to you, exchanging business cards, taking your pen or your keychain or whatever that you spent money on, right? And going away. So yes, I think it's a great idea to give away something that's memorable like that, but then also add in a reason for them to put their card in your possession.
Okay. And we have one last question. I know we're a few minutes over. If you guys want to hang on, that's good. There was a question actually more for me, I think. They thanked you, Doug, for the pace and information that you presented today. And the recording of this will be on the Northwest Chambers YouTube channel. So anybody that is registered today, I will send out that link. I just need time to be able to upload it and do what I need to do on this side. So I'd say in the next 48 hours, that'll be up there. And I'd be happy to share that link so that you can then share it with others and help others with their networking. So again, thank you, Doug,
You're
for
welcome.
presenting
Thank you for
today.
having me.
and all of sharing all of your experience and knowledge. Thanks everybody for coming today on this rainy day here in Maryland. So thank you for coming today, and I hope that you did walk away with some new ideas and some new strategies, and we can go make some new friends when we're networking. So
Right.
thanks again, everybody. Have a great rest of your week.
Bye, guys and gals.